Sound. I think actually my Twitch has been picking up a bit now.
There we go.
Sound. Right, I've got an advert up, so I can't tell if we're actually on. Are we on?
We are on. Okay. Hello guys, welcome back to AD Talks. Today we'll be talking adult themes and roleplay, touchy subject, considering all the varieties that comes with it. But you know, we'll have different opinions to share from different people. I mean, we have Theolain on and Gustav, but I'll allow themselves to introduce themselves properly if they wish. Starting with Gustav.
Hello, I'm Gustav. Guess, geez, I haven't been referred to that alias in like a year. I play 2 Worgen on Dawn. Markus. Oh.
Yeah, the mic cut out for a bit there. You play 2 Worgens
Did
on Argent.
Oh, yeah, I play 2 Worgen, Argent Dawn, Markus Brunswick and Harold Wellington, Harvest Witch and a Sailor. Play with both Ernya and Fuse over the Memberton Guild.
Hello.
That's me.
He's our new supreme ruler. Theolain, go ahead.
My name's Katie. I play Theolain and Bug, and I run Oath of Silver, which is a criminal guild on Horde side of Argent.
Alright, what have you two been up to RP wise?
Oh yeah, I'm also here, by the way.
I thought you introduced yourself already.
Nice.
No, I just, it's
sorry.
fine, it's fine. I'm used to it. It's fine. He knows I'm more popular than him. He knows the.
Yeah, I
he
need
knows
to
the
reclaim my
like me.
status. Ernya's our co-host if you haven't been, you know...
Haven't
paying
worked
attention
it
to
out yet. I'm here every week.
Yeah, he's
Don't get away from me.
he's here, he reminds me to plan stuff. Yeah, what have you guys generally been up to RP wise? Because I can't really say myself since I've been distracted with other games due to waiting for Battle for Azeroth at this rate, really.
Oh, alright then. I have been mostly playing the latter Worgen, Harold Wellington, my Harvest Witch, in the... Oh, excuse me. In Feralis. I like to go around and interrupt people's conversations, butt in, and just annoy people.
He likes to do that on Discord as well.
Yep, he does.
I'm joking.
Wow, mean.
What about you, Theolain?
I've been bouncing between my two guys. Thielen's been doing his usual stuff, gathering. He's talking to a few different guilds about allegiances and alliances against a certain gang of ruffians that are causing him some trouble, and other people within the guild are picking up different bits and pieces of cons and drug trades and whatever, and one or two of us are trying to create some social events because they're like, there's not enough just normal RP. So we're trying to we did a camping trip to Grizzly Hills, which was a bit bizarre, seeing these not terribly pleasant characters out camping. That was kind of a bit of a change for them. And then Bug tends to be, he's sort of my little information broker / dealer / addict that tends to be more. He's easier to get involved with stuff because Theolin's quite distracted from a lot of things. So I have the two of them to try and create a balance.
Alright.
But yeah, they've just been doing their usual things.
Alright, yeah, it's nice to have more social, roleplay going on.
I haven't been doing anything because I have a broken hand.
Yep, Ernya hasn't been doing anything, but hopefully Ernya will be back at it and role-playing with us mermy folk.
Yeah, that'd be sick. I can't wait.
The challenge today is pretty much a scavenging one rather than a transmog one, and as most of you should know, or if you don't, there's a Steam Romance novel that drops around the Broken Isles, pretty much anywhere I believe, so first one to get it wins, and just to add in a prize offering 10k to whoever gets it first.
Wow, stop giving people money.
Yeah.
This is for chat, not for us, right?
No, it's for
That
us.
is literally for us.
It's for us. Yeah, the challenge is for you guys to try find it before I do. I mean,
Actually, I don't have Legion flying.
well,
Do you not?
If
Wow.
it-
Okay, well, you can just go to one area and farm
I
it.
don't even have World of Warcraft open.
if
Well,
it's
I
a
don't
theme,
know what-
So he's not getting it. 10k for everyone else.
He might. You never know.
yeah. Doesn't
He'll
really
log
matter.
on. He'll try and bother and do it in the last 10 minutes and get it on like his 5th or 6th mob. I'm calling it.
But yes, fits the theme. Steamy moments, novels, adult themes. There you go. Let's start ahead. What do you think when we mention adult themes? Naturally, most people refer right to you know, ERP basically. But what do you guys think
Yeah,
of
I'd like to
when we
clarify.
mention it?
This
Yeah.
is not ERP edition. We decided we do a disclaimer. We're
Ah,
not
damn.
we're not saying like we're not legitimizing ERP or anything like that. We don't mean it like that. We mean like if that's people's bag, then whatever. We're not gonna comment on that. We're gonna try and avoid commenting on
We
that.
Yeah.
Most of us talks is touchy.
We had a lot of trouble with that misconception actually because our guild has an 18 plus age rating, and for a while people were like, that's because they're an ERP guild. And I was like, it's actually nothing at all to do with ERP.
Yeah.
It's because we have violence, we have drugs, we have there's a lot of just dark shit that goes on in our guild that shouldn't really be available for 13-year-olds that could be playing the game. So it's like that's why we have the age rating, but a lot of people sort of didn't because they assume 18 plus is instantly ERP.
Yeah, it's a common misconception. But we just wanted to say that this is more about like adult themes, like more like
In a
not
broader
so much
perspective.
yeah, not so much like actual porn as more like Breaking Bad, you know?
When we mention adult themes, just to clarify again, none of that. I mean, it's not just sexualization in roleplay, but it's gore, horror, drugs, everything that kind of you wouldn't really show to a child, would you? Really?
Yeah, we set it into some categories, but we wanted to start off by asking you guys what comes to mind first when you think of adult themes in roleplay.
Yeah.
Just some very basic ground level stuff.
Well, we'll start off with Markus and then switch to Theolain. If you want to chime in on that, Markus.
All right, yeah. Well, yeah. Adult themes, like I say, it doesn't necessarily mean ERP. More like graphic violence, even just intensely emotional scenes. So excuse my pronunciation. That was a bit much. Where exploring deep into a character's reactions and taking that in a more mature way. I think I could class that as a adult theme. You got the graphic violence, grim dark RP, and mild sexual themes as well. Not the roleplay, but say possible nudity, etc., or implied nudity.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to be avoided with 10-foot pole.
All right. What about you, Theolain?
Well, obviously, graphic content can include sexual stuff, but it doesn't always mean ERP. It could be just discussions. It could just be, talking about things of that nature without actually engaging in anything of the sort.
Yeah.
And it can, but it's much broader than that. Like themes of addiction, themes of like mental illnesses and things like that. Themes of, strong violence or graphic violence. Things like manipulation and blackmail that have like kind of very serious effects on a person's psyche and character and stuff. I would class a lot of that as adult content.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, cool. It's a nice little bow on the first bit, I guess.
Yeah, and just to actually add to that, I've heard, I don't know if it's true, that the age rating to World of Warcraft is probably going up with Battle for Azeroth as well. So do you think we'll be seeing more adult themes coming into it as well with Battle for Azeroth?
I think Blizzard are very, very good at, or have been so far, as well as they can with a PG-13 rating, obviously, at slipping things in, like suggestive things that aren't necessarily blatant. Like there is suggestion of drugs. There is suggestion of lots of different things. There is suggestions of romantic relationships and all that kind of thing without any of it ever being blatant. So I didn't know the age rating was going up. That's kind of interesting because it'll be interesting to see what they've done that's, incurred that.
I think it's going up to a 16 if I believe. I might be wrong, but
That's what I've heard.
I mean, I think it should. I think that's overdue.
It's good for the story as well, and I think
Yes.
that'll be in a relation to maybe they realise they can't really get the younger audience anymore because that's all like Fortnite and PUBG and that kind of shit.
Yeah,
It's
and I
not-
mean,
Kids don't like traditional MMOs anymore, so they might as well play to their audience and up the age rating, which means they can do quote unquote cooler shit with what they have.
A
fingers
higher
crossed.
Higher age rating.
Yeah.
It's necessary to exploring the narrative and engaging older audiences.
Okay, quick sidebar. Would you play an 18 plus, like, full-on World of Warcraft? Not like necessarily, like to Grand Theft Auto levels of maybe like swearing and violence and that level, sort of drug addiction, adult themes.
I
don't-
would.
I probably
Yeah.
would, yeah.
Just increasing the frequency of adult content would
I mean,
change the game all that much. It would just give Blizzard more room to try and set an atmosphere that they want.
Mm.
especially with the war theme coming up, really.
Yeah, it lets you get proper personal with war-related stories.
Yeah. But yeah, the war theme, I mean, it gives more room for narrative, but also, hopefully with the age rating going up, it doesn't mean that they kind of abuse it, you know? To the
Yeah.
point that it becomes the center of the story, which shouldn't really be it. If
I
it's
doubt
there,
they will.
yeah, obviously.
There's other shit they'll put in the center of the story that nobody else wants instead.
But yeah, well, how about for roleplay? When it comes to any adult theme, do you think it actually brings anything to roleplay if done correctly, you know?
Yes, 100%.
In what way, basically? Like, what specifically, an example would you throw out?
Primarily, just creating an atmosphere, immersing the eventees, the participants. I'll throw in an example. If you wish to set a grittier tone, or clearly communicate that this event isn't supposed to be upbeat, at least not yet, by using adult themes, I'm going to be overusing that. By using more graphic themes, dark themes, you can more effectively
It's a
portray that picture.
It's a nice little narrative hook. It means the stakes are higher if you want.
And for people, and just to, in some cases, you need to be descriptive about what's going on. If, for example, a corpse has been mutilated, there are ways to show that and describe it while being tasteful in your language.
Right.
I feel there's quite a fine line between just making gore for gore's sake and effectively
Yeah,
creating
that's fair.
creating a picture.
I think that's like the key point as well, is if you're just doing it for the shock value and for the, like for gore's sake, it's pointless. It's just words. But if you're using it to enhance the scene and to create an atmosphere and create a theme and to, immerse your players in it, it can be incredibly useful. But it really depends on how well you can do it.
Alright. So what, like, would you say the main stuff you guys bring to your own personal role plays? Maybe, like, you sort of mentioned that on a character basis, but what's maybe your quote-unquote favorite way to bring it all into your role play? Or maybe the favorite way you've ever dealt with an adult theme?
I mean, with the Myrmidon, we tend to have a more gorish theme now and again.
Yeah, there's a running joke that, like, if you want your character to die horribly, eventually join the Myrmidon.
Yeah.
Life expectancy isn't all that high.
But I assume with the Theolain's one, it's got more like of that drug side to it.
Yeah, our stuff tends to be a lot more like personal development type thing, where
Yeah.
characters will develop through certain ways, things like, addictions and manipulations and blackmails and stuff like that will change the character and develop the character, but can be quite intense and sometimes include violence and drugs and things like that to, a level that I wouldn't put in front of a 13-year-old basically is where we draw the line, which is why we have the age rating that we do.
Yeah.
I've been on the topic of an age rating, I've been toying with the idea of requesting that people be 18 and over. God, there'll be a discussion about that before anything happens, but
I think that might be
not for the
pushed.
sake of the ERP, but in intentional emotional scenes or graphic events, you're right.
I don't really think we take it that much further than maybe, like, some of your young adult novels out there. Like, I know there's some shit like the Demon Artist series, was something that was marketed to kids, but that's like 20 times as graphic and emotionally intense as the stuff we do.
Really? Well,
Oh yeah, 100%, bro. The stuff kids read these days is insane. But I don't know. Yeah, like you say, it's maybe something we can table for future discussion.
Yeah. Is there anything specifically you avoid when it comes to adult themes? Like,
That's a good one.
what specifically do you kind of try not to tread on, basically?
Other people's toes and feelings. OOC.
Yeah.
If something is upsetting someone out of character, don't do it.
That's a really good response, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I like
Just
to
don't.
tackling sensitive subjects, especially regarding self-harm or suicide. You have to be very
Yeah.
careful when doing that.
And things like even like things with addiction and drugs, you just have to be careful. And if someone's not down with it, just don't do it around them. It's not cool.
Yeah.
That kind of averts to another question I'd probably be asking later down the line, but with adult themes, do you think you should be considerate with other people, you know, and how considerate should you be before going forward with a...
There's this whole thing about, you know, people have this argument where giving someone a heads up or asking them if something's okay beforehand ruins the immersion and all that, and, you know,
Yeah.
ruins the scene for them. And I just think that's nonsense. Honestly,
Yeah.
I really do.
Rubbish.
Because you can say to someone, listen, can there be some violence in this scene, and do you have any limits? You can say that without giving away anything about that scene, without, you know, selling out any of the merch.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell them blow by blow exactly what you're going to do.
But it's
you
like
know,
people
just
never
have
see a
this kind
trailer
of-
for a film. Like, if you
Yeah.
see... Stupid.
It's kind of a heads up. It's enough for you to say, like, watching a trailer, it's enough for you to say, am I going to enjoy this, or am I not going to be okay with this? You know, and then you can say if you want to be involved or not, and that way you're not doing things in roleplay that is going to, you know, offend or hurt or insult someone. That's, you know, because obviously I assume that's not anybody's intent. But it never hurts, I feel, just to give people a heads up. And I have never in my 10 years of role playing found it to in any way hinder the immersion of a scene if you're doing your scene right.
I always find it better if you get a little taster. I'm always so much
Exactly.
more up for any event. I like going.
The people are
toes
more
over it.
involved because they know what's coming. You're more invested because you know you're not stepping on their toes. I know if I was going up to someone blind and going to, you know, do something violent or something whatever with their character, I'd always be really worried and nervous and sitting there like, is this going to be okay? Are they going to react badly to this? Whereas if they know beforehand, everybody's comfortable, everybody's, you know, confident that they're, you know, doing the right thing or whatever, and it's a lot easier for everyone, I find.
Yeah.
I agree. I'll do the same thing.
It's a
Alright.
general thing to, you know, be considerate with other players when it comes to specifically to these themes.
There are different ways of tackling it depending if you're RPing with guildies or RPing with random people. Though. If you're RPing
Yeah.
with guildies,
Definitely with random people, it's good to actually poke them, because but at the same time there are those random people who kind of like Theolain mentioned earlier, that kind of you're breaking my immersion sort of thing, you know, just go with it basically, which can be a bit of a nuisance as well. But it's good to poke them either way, because you never really know how people are going to react, and a lot of RP sometimes can be a bit of a out of character drama basically.
Yeah, and if the person's completely unwilling to communicate out of character, that can be an issue, a massive, massive issue, far more than the person communicating too much out of character is going to be an issue.
100%. Like, I think people who don't like to communicate out of character, they sort of know they have an agenda or an ulterior motive or a direction they want to
Exactly,
take
you
their
said
RP.
that. I was
they
thinking that, and I just couldn't find the words to say it.
Yeah,
So,
they just they don't want to admit it. They want to be like, oh
Yeah.
well, if I
they're like,
tell
oh, we'll keep it purely in C. We don't need to talk about out of character. That sounds like that's because you know you're not doing
Yeah.
something right, and you
Since
just don't
have a
want to
power
have to deal with
fantasy
it.
and you want me to fulfill for you. Fuck off.
Yeah, I tend to avoid people that don't want to have any kind of, you know, out of character discussion. I
Yeah.
tend to avoid that because,
Yeah.
in my experience, usually a bad reason for it.
It's basically like a
Realistic,
ticking
realistic.
time bomb basically.
Mhm.
For me personally, I'm not fussed either way. I mean, character progression's good either way for me, whether be it like a violent one or a friendly one, interaction, whatever.
There is like one thing that fucks me up. Like, I have a severe phobia of crabs, and I can genuinely imagine any sort of crab-related roleplay I would genuinely be unable to play. And that strikes me as, I don't know, is that something you should be considering, like people's phobias and not necessarily issues there?
I think that's not something people would necessarily think to ask about, but that if it was raised, like if you said, "Oh, this is I'm not enjoying this, and this is a problem for me," that people should be respectful of that, and
Yeah.
they should. I mean, you can word things differently. You have complete control and authority over what you type, and you can be as explicit or as vague as you want in every emote. And if someone's having an issue, you can just write it in a different way.
Yeah.
There's not, yeah. Although it's in a situation like that, I feel I would, if I was in your shoes there already, I feel like I'd just excuse myself.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I'd probably just dip.
Yeah.
Also, to the people who ask why I'm scared of crabs, it's because they're like spiders with tank armor.
That is spiders with tank armor. That's amazing. This is like my new favorite thing, by the way.
They're terrible. I absolutely hate them to shit.
Armored spiders.
Yeah.
I mean, generally with consent, there's also the underage aspect of things, and would you be RPing these things openly? Say, were you not with your guild, basically, would you be RPing these transactions of, you know, drugs or blackmail and everything so openly, with the possibility of there being underage people, you know?
You mean under 18 or?
Underage, like the 12 age rating, let's say, for example.
Right. If they were under 12, they shouldn't be playing the game. So I think
That's
it's
true.
reasonable to assume everyone is over 12.
That's fair.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Even though that's
PG-13
obviously
is
not
the current
case.
rating.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, there you go.
Yeah, well, to be fair, this is an interesting point. If you look on the back of the box, it's online interaction is not rated by the ESRB. And that's because the game would be impossible. I'm not saying that means we should be able to do whatever the fuck we want. I'm just saying, like, it's interesting how they refuse to even try and rate it because they know they have to give every game an 18 plus because it's like the
Because
people
you
on the
can't
internet
control
can say
what
whatever
people
they
say on
want.
the
Yeah.
internet.
When RPing with strangers, the guideline I go with is if what I'm saying would be inappropriate for anyone under the age of 13, if I don't personally know them and, you know, if I'm out RPing with complete strangers, I won't say that. I won't use those kind of themes in my RP.
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably wise. With me, within my guild, because I know everyone in my guild is either above the age limit or lying to me, but I've done my due diligence in trying to find out. We're quite free with language and we're quite free with themes and all that kind of stuff. But outside of the guild, like we have drug dealers, right? That's kind of part of our main part of our premise. But to play into the whole subtle aspect of what we do, although, you know, the reason why we're still here 5 years later and not all in a cell is we don't make it very obvious that we're selling drugs. Like my drug character he'll approach people and he'll strike up a conversation with them and he'll start talking about, oh, you know, are you having a good time kind of thing. And he'll treat it as if it could be a drink, as if he could be offering them a drink at a bar, and he'll never say anything else. And that's kind of how I handle it, so that it's never very clear or never explicitly clear what it is he's referring to, and you'll only actually understand what he's getting at if you already understand.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I handle it.
Yeah, naturally.
And if it's something, when it comes to things like violence, I will always ask the person first. And I tend to, you tend to know the particularly young role players. You can kind of spot them.
Yeah. That's fair to say.
And we tend not to do, you know, overly violent things with anyone we haven't at least met a handful of times and spoken to out of character.
It's good to be careful. I mean, obviously on the internet people lie, believe it or not. And yeah, you probably, despite someone saying they're 20, they could be 12 for all you know.
Yeah, you see, we have it's the thing. It's like with like job applications, whenever we have on our application, are you above 18? And if you tell me that you are, and I, you know, have done, you know, I've done my part in trying to check, then if you're lying to me, that's no longer on me. It's kind of like my insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's entirely reasonable. I think that's definitely what a lot of girls do, or at least ask you, like.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if feeling like asking how old someone is actually better. I think
We
how you
don't
over
ask how
18 or
old
not
they
is
are.
better,
We
yeah.
just ask if they're over 18. Like, you can answer with a yes or a no.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to do it.
Yeah, and obviously you've done your
It's rude to
part
ask a lady her age and all that.
there. Has anyone actually given you that response?
We don't.
Yeah, a couple of times. We get a lot of
Symbol
sark on our
on this show.
applications.
So let me just have a look quick, so I can keep on track with the conversation. Is it entirely your responsibility to, you know, control the amount of context and content you kind of pull out with these adult themes, you know, or is it
What do you mean?
like when it comes to underage people, is it entirely your responsibility after, let's say for example, that person has said that they are over the age of 18 or whatever?
No, it's not.
It's
Yeah, no.
yeah.
I coming from a working in childcare background, it's we call it due diligence. I can't say the words because there's too many D's in it. But yeah, if you've done your part, if you've given them a heads up, if you've checked their age and whatever, and if you've done your best to make sure that you're not bringing that content to an underage audience, and you're obeying the Blizzard code of conduct and all that, then that's not on you anymore. You've done everything you can.
Can I just quick break? Shout out to lowercase j in the chat. He is coming up with some interesting ideas.
That's Jez. This is most of the guys are in my
sorry.
guild.
Yeah, I fucking definitely do this. We're
Sorry,
gonna have
we're
one.
kind of syncing your chat.
No, I like it. We gotta have one popular show a year.
Yeah.
No, she is having some solid ideas. We should put some funding into that.
GG, Jessica.
Really? I can't see it.
Say sumptuous kitty. Yeah, alright. I can't say scrumptious fur, apparently.
Let's talk about a specific adult theme being profanities, and it's a thing that tends to pop up now and again, especially in Stormwind, because that's where most of the arguments come with people kind of using swear words too much, and is there really a limit to how much you use it? Does it actually provide anything to roleplay?
I think a lot of people on this one will say there is a limit, but I feel, just personally, it really can. If you can make the character work where they swear every other sentence, and obviously that's really nebulous and vague, but some people can just write a character where it kind of works and they're swearing all the time. And I've never had a character like that. The most mine has sworn is like a fair bit, but not too much. But I would say it definitely depends on the character themselves as to whether it's believable or not that they're swearing that much.
You can absolutely tell. Like, I don't think it's easy to explain, but you can absolutely tell when the amount of swearing suits the character or when it doesn't. It's just kind of one of those innate things, it's an intuitive thing. You just know when you just don't. And yeah, some people can write characters and they really can sell it with that kind of language, and some people just can't.
I don't think there's so much a limit on profanity as there is just people who are bad at that kind of RP and people who aren't. If they're bad at it, it comes off instantly and you just get a bad taste in your mouth, not because what they're doing is rude, but just because it's distasteful and brings you out of the moment.
It's badly done, basically.
It's exactly the same as the gore thing. There's a level where it's enough and it's descriptive to be thematic, and when it goes beyond that, it just gets crass and tacky and pointless.
Yeah.
I'd agree. And obviously, it makes more sense with different races. I always mention dwarves being quite sweary. Humans, obviously, but then elves, maybe not. I feel like they just more have like oaths,
Yeah, well, a lot of our elves, we tend to have two schools of thought on it as well. Within the guild and within private channels and our communication channels and different things, they'll probably swear a lot more. They tend not to do it just as much in the open world. They think they drop the occasional one, but a lot of the time what they'll use sort of more culturally taken terms that are not technically swear words, but are, kind of cased as swear words, a la Battlestar Galactica style.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
That's pretty cool.
It's always interesting when people make up their own as well. I don't know if you guys ever made up swear words for Roleplay.
I mean,
A few times.
When I used to be more creative with it, sure. I mean,
We have a couple of characters who are
especially when you get
exceptional at coming
into-
up with terms.
especially when you get into a mindset of a pirate, you can just go, crazy with that, really.
That's true.
The pirates tend to go really, random with their insults.
Sorry. I would say I have one I like to use on Ernya. It's like S apostrophe WIT, like swit. And it sounds like, if you just said it, sounds like kind of elven sort of throwaway curse word, but actually it's just like a portmanteau of shitwit.
That is a point, though. My orc does use Thrall's balls as an insult, sort of thing.
I've seen a couple use Anistern's balls as well a few times.
Yeah.
Some of them are
Balls
pretty good at
seem to
coming
be
up
really
with.
popular with people swearing.
Listen, when a ball's not popular.
Certainly not on my
I've
house.
So
Balls,
with
tall
profanity,
times.
there's a way to tell it when there's too much and if it suits the character. Obviously, I mean, specifically again with me, it's with the. I mean, I can tell when it comes to Storming that a lot of the people there use it for the sake of using it, and I mean, it's just swear word after swear word, basically. You know, just saying.
Yeah.
It's like doing the thing just to be cool, basically, or make your character seem like this.
It loses all impact.
If you use a certain word over and over again, it just isn't that word anymore. It's just something
Yeah.
bland, basically.
Inspires people to it.
But if you have a character, say, I mean, Ernya would be a perfect example. You have a character who has a very like positive attitude, politeness to them, and then all of a sudden one day they just kind of swear. You know, it's
Yeah.
impactful.
See, then
that-
it's thematic. Then you know the shit has hit the fan.
yeah. They're just, like all of a sudden they just turn around, you know, saying the F words, and it's pretty much it
And
hits
she
the-
gets a slap for saying a naughty word. Goes back on the stool.
But yeah, it's really good with characters like that. Do you think it actually contributes to roleplay though? I mean, not just profanities, but now just adult themes in general. Does it actually contribute?
I
to
do. Especially if you're in a guild like ours, where the theme is criminal. I feel like if we were trying to do a criminal guild without adult themes, it wouldn't work well. It wouldn't be atmospheric, and it wouldn't be what it should be to make it work and to make it help develop the characters and alter them and change them and progress them down their paths. I just don't. It might work in a military guild where, you know, the point is the discipline and the strictness and all those other aspects, but with ours, a lot of it is related to the adult.
Yeah.
adult
Even
content.
from my personal, like, sorry, I just hit my microphone. From my personal experience, I have been in a lot of military guilds. It is better when there's, even in a military guild, when you can play it really simple and just be like, we're the heroes, we go to this place, we kill the guy, we can't.
I think it should be in every guild, but I understand why every guild maybe can't do it because of their their player base and things like that. But I think for our guild particularly, it absolutely is essential for the theme,
Oh, 100%.
and it really does add to it.
I
We have
mean,
mild criminal
it's
themes.
either that or you could just be RPing really polite criminals.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, a lot of us are really polite criminals up front and center. You know, if you,
Yeah.
if you meet us in the street, we're super polite. That's why we're still here.
I mean, let's touch upon something I assume most people already know about, and obviously, like we mentioned before, it'll be brief because we don't want to fall into that pit of drama that always brings with it. But sexual stuff, really, it doesn't really bring anything to roleplay at all, to me at least.
we have a theme. It can, I think it can. I think like a sexual relationship for your character can bring something to their character.
Oh,
it can
I was
develop
about
them, and
to
it
say,
can it can help them progress. It can help them change. It can create an arc. It can create bonds and stuff like that. I think it's just as interesting and compelling as any other aspect of roleplay. But like with all those other aspects of roleplay we were just talking about, it has a time and a place, and none of those places are public channels
Yeah,
at all.
That's true.
it should be.
No, that's entirely fair. Took the words out of my mouth again.
Yeah, it should be kept behind doors. Or
Sorry, I'll shut up. I will shut
No,
up.
it's fine. You're the guest. I get to talk every week.
I've similar opinions to Katie on this. I feel that sexual relationships are like any other part of RP, something that can be explored to develop characters within a guild environment, especially given that it's unlikely that it would make any of these people who you already know uncomfortable. But especially, I've had a few instances where the discussion and exploration, but not acting out of, sexual relationships.
Yeah, I find for me personally, there's very little need to, or no need really, to do any sort of roleplay around the actual act itself. Sorry, I'm always far more comfortable with doing like a
Fade to Black.
Fade to Black. Yeah, like maybe if it was my real life girlfriend playing the character or whatever, then it might make sense. But even then, that's just not.
I think it's one of those things that is just entirely down to everyone's personal preference. Like I said, everyone has a point at which they're comfortable and which they're not, and that should be respected by all parties.
And that's another thing, I guess, where the age verification does come back in. Because if that's going to happen, then obviously you 100% need to know who's the other side of the keyboard. And that's hard.
The crucial things is that everybody is aware and not consenting. That sounds really bad. Well, obviously consenting, but that's not what I mean. Everyone's aware and everyone's within their comfort zones, and that you're adhering to the code of conduct, which is none of that in public channels. Where obviously the 13-year-olds who could be playing the game could see it.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
I think for me personally, I mean, it can bring it from a conversational perspective, possibly, yeah. But I think when it comes behind closed doors, it's best to do just fade to black, basically.
Well, again, depends on the people.
Yeah, to me
like,
personally, that is.
Yeah. No one
I
trying to
think
argue with you.
that's
That's
the
the
most.
takeaway.
I think that's the most
them.
common answer to it as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've known people that have played it out as well, and they, in playing it out, have explored aspects of their character that way. Like, their character's different in that situation than they are in different situations, so they thought that playing it out might help them get a better grasp of that. But they don't do it in game. They do it privately on Discord channels or whatever like that. Things like that, where it's it's obviously not against the TOS and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's fine, because you're not harming anyone else or doing anyone an injury or an insult by doing it.
Yeah, if you do it in a private chat channel, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
for people who want to avoid it, would you say there's any general, I mean, not just sexual stuff here, but adult themed content again, that any way to actually avoid this sort of stuff? I mean, it seems to be presented in a lot of people's roleplay in one way or another, and I personally think it'd be quite
Yeah.
difficult to avoid.
It would be quite difficult. It would be quite difficult, and especially like I play male characters now, but 6 years ago I used to play 2 female mains, and I would get whispers, and this is out of character, this is not in characters, this is not technically roleplay comments, but I would get whispers all the time. So avoiding adult content in this game is next to impossible.
Yeah.
Just in general. But yeah, I think that if you want to avoid it, be careful about the kind of character you roll first and foremost. If you roll a character that's going to be hanging around those areas with those people, you're obviously going to be more likely to bump into that, and that's not your fault, and that maybe shouldn't be the case, but that is going to be the case. And if you do find yourself in a situation where stuff is happening and you can see it going a way that you're not comfortable with, just whisper that person and tell them. Communication is everything in my eyes.
And don't join that one guild that Fuse says I wasn't allowed to.
I don't know. It's an alliance side guild, so I have not a clue.
Everybody else.
You can whisper me privately.
You guys, I bet you can guess.
Yeah, I think everyone's got it on. Everyone's
if
already
you
guessed
whisper
it,
someone,
fine.
if you whisper someone and you tell them you're not comfortable with a roleplay and they carry it on anyway, you just walk away, my
Not even
friend,
just
because
walk away.
that's not worth you.
Here's what I tell everyone: you open a ticket, ignore them, and that's it. Really, they can't message you anymore. I mean, obviously, if they log onto another character, you can always ignore that character as well. And they just kind of, if you respond to them, it kind of negates a ticket. So don't. If they log onto another character, just ignore that one as well. And it's just making themselves look worse, basically.
Yeah, that's true, because Blizzard can see that they've messaged you on multiple characters, and that then counts as griefing.
This isn't so much adult themes as it's more harassment, though.
That's true. Let's
But it's
wrangle
just,
it back
if
on
you're
topic.
if that's how you're dealing with adult things, if you don't want to get involved in them and someone is trying to is ignoring you or you trying to tell them that you don't want to get involved with them, that is how you deal with it.
So,
All right, we got a really interesting. Oh, sorry. Which one do you want to go for?
What was it? What would you want to say, Ernya?
I was just going to say, should we go on to the one? Should we intrude upon the roleplay of others? It's because we talked about this whole concept of the ERP witch hunts that do kind of happen where.
Oh yeah. Should you be a bit? Should you intrude upon the RP of others that are kind of doing this sort of roleplay? You know, gore, ERP, whatever. Should you be kind of dictating what they do, basically?
Yeah, and all the shit like guilds like Bane used to get, whether you say it's justified or not, whatever. That's their guild doing their stuff, and there still used to be people who go like, "Oh my god, go away." Whatever. I've never been in Bane. I will disclose that. I don't want to make it sound like I've been in Bane.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. With a guild like Bane, people have joined it because they want that sort of roleplay, but should they have people encroaching from outside of the guild into their roleplay and saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, when it's a collective group of people who are RPing their own thing, should you be allowed to do that, or should you be intruding upon it?
Gone to them, if you've approached them knowing what they're doing and then told to stop, that isn't them making you uncomfortable. That's you going out of your way to find
To harass people.
Yeah.
And no, you shouldn't do that at all. That is just you bothering and disrupting other people's RP. If their
Yeah, is
RP
that-
is straight up breaking the rules, like public ERP, that's against the TOS. That's a different instance. But if it's graphic violence, if it's even suggested mild nudity or extreme emotional scenes, don't go out your way to involve yourself and disrupt that kind of RP
I think that's fair.
if you want to
Yeah.
avoid it, because that's not on them, it's on this.
Yeah, I think it comes down to basic human respect, which seems to be horribly rare these days. If you don't want it, don't get involved in it. And if someone else doesn't want to do what you're doing, don't make them get involved in it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody's paying the same subscription. So everybody has their right to play the game how they want to play it.
Yeah,
within
that's
the
the healthy
TOS, of
attitude
course.
to take.
Going back to being considerate of players, when it comes to horror and gore, should you also be considerate about paranoia? Like, not paranoia. Sorry. Like, what's the word?
I don't know.
Possible
What
triggers.
is the word?
The fears of things, just in general.
Phobias.
Phobias.
Possibly- oh.
That's it.
I think it's impossible to plan for some of those, like crabs. I would never have imagined crabs in a million years, and I may have made an event on a coast where it had crabs, and not intentionally, obviously, because I would have no idea. But I think if you do know of someone having a phobia, and you do know that someone is really uncomfortable with something, and or if you're in the middle of an event and someone says to you, "Oh, I didn't know this was going to happen. I'm not comfortable with this," you should do your absolute best to try and negate that in any way you can.
Yeah, and I think I told Ernya before about this a bit, but we did have someone in the Horde guild I was in for a while who had this like fear of spiders, so much so that he couldn't really see them in game either. They just couldn't deal with it basically, and with the spider
Hughes
mount
told
being
me that
introduced,
they all got spider mounts and ran after him for days.
like there was someone who
And he
would kind of
cancelled
harass
his
him with a spider
subscription.
mount basically.
Oh, okay.
But he did not
Okay.
cancel his subscription. We had to kind of tell that person to dismount basically.
Yeah, don't be a dick. Like,
Yeah, and that's something you should be considerate of, because I mean phobias are real, and I know it's just a game. To me personally, that's how I perceive it, and
Yeah.
I can't understand it, but I am respectful of people who kind of say they have these phobias, but I personally don't understand how people can be scared of something that isn't legitimately real in game, But that's
Yeah.
my perspective,
Lucky.
obviously.
But I mean, yeah, I think it all comes down to that: is if someone tells you they're uncomfortable,
Yeah,
you just do your best to mitigate
yeah,
their
that's
discomfort.
all anyone really
'Cause
wants. I don't
it's
think.
the nicest human reaction.
It's true.
But yeah, I just don't think. I think anything else, any other kind of reaction, is purely just a defensive. People do this where they don't understand something, and instead of just saying, "Okay, I don't understand that, but I don't have to understand that. I can take your word for it, and that's okay." And because they don't understand something, and we have such a fear of not knowing everything, we get defensive. And then we're like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't be scared of that. That's completely silly and makes no sense, and we're just going to carry on anyway, and you should just have to lump it." That's crazy.
Mm.
Thing is, if you've gone to if you're scared of something that a particular group which you've approached, like if you've gone to some other group that has their own themes, like a newbie who's just approached a guild, then you say to them, "This is these crabs are making me feel uncomfortable," and
I think we
That's
might be
fair
getting a
enough.
bit hung up on hypotheticals here. But yeah.
Well, it's just an example, of course. It's just an example. I don't think it would be very fair to expect said DM to change the event which they've made for their own group and then included yourself.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's
Yeah.
arguing that
Yeah.
though.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Either it's not essential to the plot and it can be worked around and or slipped out, or if it is essential to the plot, then that person we can create a way for them to leave.
Yeah.
Interestingly or characterfully, and that basically considers everyone. I'm dying. What is this? It considers everyone's
Yeah.
personal stance without upsetting anyone.
I mean, this kind of flows into the next question, really, or the next suitable question is limiting the descriptive pieces, like written text you put into social campaigns and all that, bigger events sort of stuff. Should you limit it when it comes to bigger events? When it comes to adult themes, basically.
I think so.
Yeah, I think if anything, just go for suggestive, and then everyone can take out of it their own takeaway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
If you don't know the majority of your group and you have a big group of people, then it's best to err on the side of suggestive and vague.
Mm.
I
Wow,
find.
we need
Anyway,
to get
I'm not
more,
telling people how to roleplay.
I
we
mean,
need to get more arseholes on this podcast.
yeah,
who-
we do.
I swear, what like in the chat, if you're a dickhead, PM me. We want
But-
you to talk.
The
Hands
problem
up,
is
hands up, all the assholes.
the assholes don't really like me because they already know I'm going to disagree with them.
You're too nice. It's fine.
Um,
I'll start being a dick. Get
it,
someone I can be a dick to.
Just to be the devil's advocate.
Yeah, we did talk about doing that in a stream or two.
yeah, we
Picking-
did.
arguing about it.
Specifically with related between Blizzard and roleplay, basically.
Yeah, should Blizzard be more hands on or hands off?
But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah. Team hand.
Is there anything as over the top, like with adult films, anything that you'd consider to be too much, basically?
Yeah, personally for you, I
Yeah.
think, as opposed to just anything that
Personally
upsets someone.
For me, I'm all in on things that are like personal development stuff. Like my bug, the little street rat guy, he is a junkie. He is an addict, and he is neck deep in that stuff. It is ruining his life. And I'm full on with that. I can go all the way with that. That's no problem for me because that's not a personal thing for me.
Yeah.
And it's just something that I'm exploring via him. Now, obviously, I tailor how that is expressed depending on, where he is and what the scene is and who's involved in it and that kind of thing. But what I don't enjoy massive big fighting roleplay things, so I don't enjoy anything. I do, like, obviously Theolain is much more violent, but he's very specifically violent. It's on very specific occasions for very good reasons, and then he can get quite graphic, but it's very rare. It's very rare that it happens, like I said, to add impact to basically. If Theolain rolls his sleeves up, trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, because I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy overly violent, overly, graphic sort of torture RP. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
A lot of people uncomfortable.
Torture RP specifically, the graphic descriptions of what's happening to the torturee, I think is unnecessary.
Yeah.
There was one case where a character was hung from the mast of another ship.
Yeah.
The description was very graphic, and the language portrayed things that would be so obvious, and a lot of the text was unnecessary, and it was there. I feel it was obvious that they were going for the shock factor. So
Shock value, yeah.
the shock.
See, when I'm doing things like that, like when Theolain is having to get his hands dirty and do things like that, I tend to write half the emote almost. I leave it kind of open-ended, and then I let them decide
Yeah.
what actually happens.
I feel that's a better way to go about things.
It's a great way to do like fighting roleplay generally, because Ernya
Yeah.
obviously loves fighting, and it's like her whole thing, and as well as like most important to her. So like you have to leave it. You can do the coolest hit in the world, but half the time people will just emote how they want to react anyway.
Exactly, yeah. And that's their right, technically.
Yeah,
So
that's fine. That's the same as
there's nothing. I mean, it's not like you can type for them, so you kind of have to roll with the possibility that your awesome thing is just going to be dodged.
yeah. Roll with the literal punches.
God,
Yeah.
I like this thing you got going. Theolain makes orphans.
Theolain makes it. He's maybe one or two. Shush, it's fine.
They said
No
they
one
don't
knows about
talk
it, so
about
it's okay. Guys, shut up! You're selling me out here.
It's fine, no, because we're like a quote unquote privateer guild, and the second we meet some people, it's like, oh, you guys are fucking pirates, and we get the same thing.
That's annoying. That's metagaming.
Yeah, it is metagamey, but
Whatever, we're over it. We're
Um,
not salty. Don't
I'm
don't imply weakness in
not
Someone
salty.
stop this man.
Only pepper.
No one's gonna stop him. It's fine.
it's a broad subject, really in general. I mean, we can bring it closer to an end since 10 minutes left. A good question
Shouldn't
being,
have rich orphans, is all I'm saying.
good question being, should Blizzard be more controlling when it comes to this sort of roleplay? Should they have more GMs on top of things that aren't really specifically allowed or are getting out of hand, basically.
I think they should
I
be
think-
completely reactionary. If only when someone says that a public scene is making them uncomfortable and is continuing to do so, should Blizz get involved.
So
They
you,
shouldn't actively go out of their way to police things that aren't causing any trouble in the moment.
so you're saying their policing is like fine right now, basically, as in
I
it's
don't
fine
have-
as it is.
As fine as it's gonna be. They could. I mean, they obviously they have staffing issues and numbers, but they could
Yeah.
do a lot better on answering reports and things like that and dealing with reports. But that's
That's true.
always been the case, always.
Especially on RP servers, because
yeah,
they really
and it's
don't
never
care
gonna
about
change.
roleplay. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it should be that. Like, it should be a case of if it's reported, then they absolutely should deal with it and should do a better, faster job of dealing with reports than they do now. But that's always been the case. If it's not reported, if it's a small scene between agreeing peoples that's out of earshot or sight or public channels or whatever else of other people, then no, it's not offending anybody. It's not hurting anybody. So I don't think they
Yeah.
need to.
That's just a case of don't know, don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if someone is actively reporting stuff, then absolutely.
What about, I mean, again, another touchy subject, but what about specific areas that are, I guess, a central hub for people engaging in certain activities, if you know what I mean?
Not sure.
Gold Shy.
Oh,
They shouldn't
Wow.
be doing it in /S and /E.
If
Yeah.
It's against the TOS.
Right.
yeah. That's all you can really say.
But the fact that they're still there doing it.
That's really true, actually. Yeah, that's like massive public towns. That's the first place
mean-
a lot of new players see.
It's a perfect example, actually, of Blizzard being reactionary, basically, to reports. If anything, if anyone is reported, I assume they get banned or whatever. Otherwise, it's kind of still going, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure those people have been reported and are
They probably
reported
have, yeah.
frequently.
I can imagine a few of them have been, and I can imagine a few of them have been banned.
We had one
But there are
character.
so
It was
many.
a level 6 rogue that was running around Silvermoon. Now, she wasn't doing it in character, but she was whispering people obscene things of a sexual nature out of character. Female characters all the time, obviously, of course, because
Yeah.
being a female gamer is not a real thing, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I know.
Females,
moving
what are those?
on.
I haven't met
Well,
them.
that opened that can of worms. But yeah, she was whispering these, like, I mean, these were obscene things. They were really graphic and really disgusting. And she was reported and reported and reported and reported and reported for weeks and weeks and weeks, multiplied, because she would whisper every female character she saw in the city, quite literally. And eventually, I think it was like a month later, she did get banned, but it wasn't a permanent ban because I've seen her pop up every 6 months or so, basically, since then.
I think I might know who you're talking about, because I've been to Gold Shy once or twice and received whispers.
Oh,
She
Silvermoon.
probably-
Gold Shy, sorry, Silvermoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, even Gotcha further fees.
Oh, you'd know because they are graphic.
Yeah, it does ring familiar.
Coming to a close on the topic itself, what are some of your like worst or best moments when it comes to adult thematic roleplay? Basically, what would you consider to be such? Maybe one of each, or just a one? What stands out for you?
Exploring a character's sexuality and how the environment may change their outlook on the world regarding that.
Yeah, you were
And
talking about that.
I'm not referring to homophobia or the tolerance of LGBT, but I mean more just how a character's sexuality can develop through who they meet, what others say, and it is a more mature theme, but it can allow it's important enough.
Yeah,
And it can very
I
deeply
agree.
affect a character.
I think that's a very interesting one, and I think that's one that could be very interesting to explore on like a lot of characters. But it's one of those ones that you kind of need to do not in a safe space, because that sounds cliche and snowflakey, but with people that you trust to actually be quality enough to
yeah.
help you progress that kind of development, because it's very intricate personal development. It's not just a fighting scene, which is quite
Yeah.
straightforward.
It was the people I did this with, the only reason I managed to explore these themes was these were some of the best RPs that I've ever met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think for me, I'd say the best gory sort of stuff was still me. I think the most descriptive actual death scene was with Galera that I did, and the whole pool of blood and everything like that underneath her after she dies, you know.
You're just a violent lunatic. Who let this guy have a show?
I'm here to promote my violent tendencies.
Do you want to join the orphan killing club?
Yeah, let's go.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god, I almost spat water.
Oh, holy shit. You know what? Okay, as we've been saying this, and I just found this rare mob, Pintshank the Evil Death Crab. It's a crab with the fucking knife in his claw. Okay, I'm gonna kill it.
It's a reference to that meme or that video
Yeah, I
thing.
know. Oh, I can't watch that video, legit.
And for me, the best sort of things that come from some adult thematic roleplayers is the most impactful ones, like Markus said, but I think it's the more ones that leave like a damaging scar on them that kind of affects their way of thinking from like one thing to a complete different one, basically. It's like, I don't know, this person used to think orcs were great, but something changed and they're like, hate orcs now, you know, despite everything like that. Something that just kind of adds and changes your character in a proper way, basically.
Yeah. Well, like I said, this like my little street wreck character is a junkie, and that has completely over the past 4 years, it has completely changed his life, his situation, who he is, how he deals with things, how he reacts to things, some of the people he's bumped into as well. It's created these relationships that he has with them that are completely different to what kind of relationships he'd have had before that, and it's been a really, really interesting journey. And at this point, I have no idea if he's going to go up or down on that scale, but I'm along for the ride, and I'm really excited to see where it goes because it's immersive. And despite the fact that it's very much an adult theme, and a lot of it is very grim dark, and you know, and stuff that he gets up to and things like that can be quite, you know, it's not stuff that I do in public spaces just in case, but it is very, very it affects him a great deal, and it changes his storyline a great deal.
Yeah.
So that has been some of the best roleplay that I've had with adult themes. Some of the worst, I'm very, very lucky because I've had Oath for 5 years now, and all of the people in it are amazing, and none of the roleplay that I've ever had with them would I really class as a bad time. So I think I'd have to go way, 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 way back to a different realm.
Let me just clarify. By the way, I know you guys won't, but no naming shaming when it comes on this talk show, basically. So if there's anyone that has actually particularly touched you in a bad way, whatever, no naming really.
Yeah, the TOS. You have to adhere to the TOS. This was like on a different realm as well, and it was just a torture scene. My character got kidnapped, dragged out to the woods, and got tortured, and it just there was nothing in the scene that was really. She wasn't really trying to get anything from my character. There was nothing really from it was literally just, here's how badass I can torture people.
Yeah.
It's sort of plain stuff, power fantasy.
Yeah,
That's
and
one
I was
of
just
the
like,
worst
you know.
things you can do.
Yeah, and there was no playback for my character at all. There was nothing in there for her. There was no you know, decisions for her to make, no things that she, you know, basically I was just there to witness her being a badass torturer, and I was like, okay. Thankfully the RP after, like the comeback from that, and that was better. That was much better. But that scene in itself kind of, I think that was where I realized this is just maybe not for me.
Yeah.
This kind of
Makes
roleplay.
sense.
Well, I mean, I guess that closes the chapter on that.
Yeah, it wraps things up quite nicely.
Yeah, and with 1 minute to spare, but we'll do the usual shine of a conversation. We promote Myrmidon enough, so I mean, as Markus being the guild leader, I'm going to leave that out this time because I don't want to make it seem like a shilling.
Yeah,
sort of
that's
Theolain, if you'd like to say a bit about your guild to other people that may be interested.
I will do that. Can I do something else first? Can I totally plug my blog post? Because I've written a blog post on 2 of these things.
Sure, go for it.
Okay.
Is it alright if I post links in the thing?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. This is a post on graphic content when role-playing villains. because I do a little series about it, and this one is on swearing in roleplay. I don't know if they're useful. We've pretty much covered all the points anyway, but just in case. Beyond that, Oath of Silver is, as you guys probably know by now, because most of them are in the chat. It's a criminal guild based in Silvermoon, kind of mafia themed. We wanted to go for something that was subtle and low key because we didn't want to be stabbing people in the street and blowing up buildings and getting arrested in 2 minutes flat and pissing everybody in the realm off. So we went with mafia, kind of suits wearing, hiding in plain sight, fraud and narcotics and all those kind of easier to hide kind of criminal dealings. So, and it allows us to be, to interact with all the other guilds as well, with the alliances, and because they think we're upstanding, gentlemen of business and things. So we do a lot of interaction with a lot of other guilds because the criminal scene tends to be very small and very constantly changing. So it's very difficult to do a lot of stuff there. But yeah, we hang out in Silvermoon. We occasionally venture out of Silvermoon to do different bits and pieces as they come up. And if you ever are in the area and want some trouble, give us a poke, because we will happily oblige and be your bad guys.
Yeah, I will just say I feel like I should confess, I did actually used to be in Oath of Silver quite a while ago. This point
Really?
now. Yeah, it was.
Who's your character?
I feel bad because I basically stopped playing World of Warcraft on no notice. For
It's happened. It happens.
Yeah. Sabael, I don't know if you remember. It was.
Oh, I do remember.
Shit. I was hoping I wouldn't.
I remember everything.
Yeah, I was like, oh god, I sold that character drug.
No.
But yeah, no, they are really great. They're so subtle. The subtleness is really key. They build this really cool seedy underground element to most of the areas they hang out in, and it's the tone set by the members is really spot on. Just as a plug for you guys during the show.
Thank you. Come back to us. You don't need Lion's side.
If I have a portal for it. Wait. Back the fuck up, home stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a good criminal RP guild, I'd recommend Oath of Silver as well.
And we're nice out of character.
Yep.
Or we try.
I'm being harassed by my dog, so let's
Oh,
close this. As usual, I mean, follow, subscribe, whatever. Really, support me in any way you can to so I know what you want to see and you want to continue watching this. I don't normally say what the next week's topic is because we tend to plan it last minute. As bad as
Last minute. We have a big planning session on a Monday. It's not our fault. The show's on a Tuesday.
Just freak coincidence, that's all.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
You just need to do 2 weeks in one, and then you'll be a week ahead of yourself from then on.
Let's not get carried away.
The point of these podcasts again are to engage in discussions, but also I wanted to obviously promote guilds and events and stuff, and I haven't been doing much of that lately. So I again did mention last time that I will be dedicating a single like AD talks a month or something like that to kind of talking about events that are up and coming, maybe guilds, maybe even have a guild leader or two come on and kind of interview them about their guild.
That sounds pretty cool.
It's to help people find the roleplay they might be looking for or not, or maybe find something completely new. AD Talks is not just.
You could
about
even make a little
discussions,
library of them on your YouTube channel, and then
Yeah.
link them in a Discord thread, because it's like a visual. Here's an intro to the guild from the guild people.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. If people want to submit content that they want us to show, we're more than happy to find a way to do it.
Yeah. I'm trying to organise that, but I'm being a bit slow lately. Either way.
Did anyone find the book, by the way?
Did I get something that's RNG based? Have a guess, my friend.
No one got the book. Okay, I'll send you each 2.5k.
Hey!
I just sat in dollar on AFK.
Well, you're logged on.
You're halfway there.
500 gold in my book.
That's all I do for most events.
Markus was already vouching for nothing to drop so he'd get gold anyway.
Alright. Well, this
Yeah.
has been fun.
Yeah, we need
It's
to
been a
close up
pleasure. Thank you very much,
because
guys.
we have the guildy way to host an event for us.
Oh, that's true.
Thank you
Alright,
again. Follow on Twitch, YouTube, everything like that. Let me know what you might want to see in future. Again, you can join the Discord and kind of, you know, directly contact me there. It might not seem as lively as other Discord channels, but I mean, you can help it become lively by joining it.
It's fine. It's not as fuck.
Yeah.
I post once a week. That's all you need. Anyway, thanks again for coming, guys, and
Yep.
thanks for watching.
Thanks
Keep
for
on
having
us
us.
out.
Thank you. See you guys.
Peace.
Bye.
Good night, good evening. Have a good one.